Alright, hey everyone, welcome to the video, Overlords and You. Here we are, we're going to be talking about Overlords, specifically Overlord of the Hauntwoods, though it doesn't really matter which ones. We're going to be talking about replacement effects, triggered abilities, as well as other fun weirdness that comes along with them. So first up, who am I? I'm not a judge, I'm Laura. I just like the rules, they're cool. Primarily for my local standard community. Hey guys, how you going? If it gets out further than this, hi, I exist. That's me. What are we really talking about today? We are talking about this sicko Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Currently tearing it up, being a problem, being a menace. We are going to be talking about replacement effects that apply to it and triggered abilities that also apply to it, or don't, as the case may be. Let's talk about impending. Impending is the main ability of Overlord, so you can see it's right on the card there. Impending for 1 green green. So impending is actually an ability that represents 4 separate abilities. The first and second are static abilities that function while impending is on the stack. Third is a static ability that functions on the battlefield, and the fourth is a triggered ability that functions on the battlefield as well. Casting it's an alternative cost, so this is not an additional cost or anything on top of that. Abilities 1 and 2. Ability 1 is pretty simple. It just sets up, hey, you can cast it for 1 green green. It just defines the cost of the ability pretty normally. Ability 2, if you choose to pay for it with the impending cost, it will enter with end time counters on it. So that is a replacement effect that's going to modify how that permanent enters the battlefield. This is very important. This will come up a lot. Ability 3 and ability 4, for whatever reason, got flipped around in there. Ability 3, as long as this permanent has a time counter on it, if it was cast for its impending cost, it's not a creature. So, this is a static ability that applies while the permanent is on the battlefield, and only while it has those time counters on it. And ability 4, beginning of your end step, if it was cast for its impending cost, and there is at least 1 time counter on it, remove a counter from it. This is pretty normal. Triggered ability at the end of the turn. We're not going to be worrying about weirdness with this one today. For the most part, little tidbit at the end, a little bit of fun. What's the problem here? What is the problem? So this other second sicko, also for green, 1 green green, we're going to be causing problems. Thunderous Velocipede. It's got an ability that says each vehicle and creature you control enters with an additional 1/1 counter if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, i.e., if its mana value is 5 or greater, it enters with 3 additional 1/1 counters on it. Let's see what happens when we've got a Thunderous Velocipede and we try and make Overlord work. So first up, mana value. Impending does not change the mana cost of the spell. As we saw with the first ability, it just lets you cast it for that alternative cost. This does not actually change the full cost of the spell. The mana value still looks in the top right hand corner. See, so that's a 5. We're going to talk about 5 here. So that's fine. Mana value 5. So Thunderous Velocipede, we're going to get 3 counters out of it. Replacement effects. So this is where we get into the meat and potatoes. So 614. This is where all the replacement effect rules are. What we really care about are replacement effects that, in this specific instance, effects that read, this permanent enters with, these are considered replacement effects. So these replace the event of a permanent entering the battlefield with them entering the battlefield with some counters. So those 2 events are not seen the same in the rules. However, it's the sort of thing where multiple replacement effects can interact on the same object, and the owner of the affected event or the affected object gets to choose the order in which they apply. This is important because how do we know what to apply? There's all these cards on the board. Some things will say do this, do this. How do we know what's actually going to apply to this card that we're trying to get onto the battlefield? So to determine what effects should apply and how they apply, you have to check the characteristics of the permanent as it would exist on the battlefield. So you have to look forward. You have to say, if I put this on the table right now, taking into account replacement effects that have already been applied, and already have modified the event, continuous effects from its own abilities, and continuous effects that are already on the battlefield. We have to look forward and put it there as it is right now to see what effects apply and how they apply. So this is what's happening. We've got Overlord of the Hauntwoods, we've got a Thunderous Velocipede on the field. I'm impending the Overlord, and we are going to go through the whole rigmarole. So I've got this card. It's cast for its impending cost. This sets up a replacement effect from Overlord of the Hauntwoods. And it's also got a replacement effect from the Velocipede itself. Because it checks the whole way through, it will apply in this case, and we'll go through why in a second. Because as we put Overlord of the Hauntwoods onto the battlefield, we need to say what effect are we applying first. Because it's my Overlord, I get to say, well, what if I put the time counters on first? I'm going to apply that replacement effect first. Cool. Then we'll look forward to see if Thunderous Velocipede's going to help us out here. The continuous effect of Overlord of the Hauntwoods says that it's not a creature. Right, okay, well, it's not a creature, it's not going to get any 1/1 counters. However, because this is your object and you can choose how you replace, how you do your replacements, you can say, let's do Velocipede first. Let's do the vehicle. Chuck in Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Yeah, that's a creature. Yeah, I like that. Cool, awesome. So it's going to get 3 1/1 counters. Neat. Any other replacement effects to apply? Yes. All right, so we'll put the time counters on it. That's all the replacement effects to do. Let's chuck it onto the battlefield. Awesome, all good to go. So it's going to actually enter, as long as you want it to, it's going to enter with 3 1/1 counters, as well as 4 time counters from the impending. Even though it's not a creature on the battlefield at any point in time, because of the order in which you can choose to apply these, you get to get some extra counters out of it. So there's some weirdness that also applies with this. How about Garruk's Uprising? Can I draw my card? Garruk's Uprising has a triggered ability that says, if a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. We saw that, Overlord of the Hauntwoods, power 6 on that thing. When it enters, are we looking forward for it? No. This is a triggered ability, and triggered abilities are different and very different to a replacement effects. So replacement effects happen all at once as the permanent is entering the battlefield. It's after the stack, it's before the battlefield, it's technically still on the stack. Garruk's Uprising only triggers when something is on the battlefield. And the trouble is, at this point, once the Overlord is entered, it's definitely got its time counters, and it's definitely not a creature. So unfortunately, it won't work with Garruk's Uprising. You're just going to have to make do without the Beanstalk instead for other reasons. That card's silly. What if it's both? What if you have a card that has both a replacement effect and a triggered ability? Yet again, another card from Standard at the moment. Authority of the Consuls. If your opponent has an Authority of the Consuls in play, you try to impend an Overlord, it's going to enter tapped. Creatures your opponent control enters tapped is a replacement effect of the event of the creature entering. And the trouble is, you're going to be able to choose the order in which these happen, but it doesn't actually matter in the end. The other thing is, whenever a creature your opponent controls enters, you gain a life. It's not a creature entering. Again, that's a triggered effect rather than a replacement effect. So that's what's going to end up happening. They're not going to gain a life, and your Overlord may enter tapped. Thanks for watching. I think this is everything that I need to cover right now. I'm certainly not top tier judge, but this should hopefully cover all the common use cases. Feel free to comment here if you don't know me or find me on Blue Sky. I exist. Thanks for watching. See ya.